All right, this Friday night episode is going to be dedicated to the oily girls out there. I'm going to go ahead and start because I'm going to kind of talk about my routine in just a few minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and start and just do a few of the things that I always do when I get started. I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyelids, and I'm going to go ahead and put on my lip moisturizer. This is Seint Beauty. It's little tins that pop into magnetic compacts. All kinds of fun stuff we've got here. We've got lip and cheek colors. We've got what we call highlights, which is AKA foundations, or bases. We have contours, bronzers, and everything fits into a handy dandy little compact that you can just throw in your purse and go. And then you have your eyeshadows on one side, and then you just grab a brush and go, and it works out good. The only thing that I find strange about it is that the name of the former name of this company was Mascara, and they didn't have mascara, but now we're known as Seint. And part of me thinks, did you guys change the name because we didn't have a mascara? That's not the reason, but I mean, it would make sense. All right, 9 o'clock has really snuck up on me. I did not realize that it was getting this late. It's been crazy today. Crazy at work. Actually, I was still working until just maybe 5 minutes ago. And I had to hurry up and go wipe everything off my face because I had on a little bit of makeup today. And I needed to start with a clean face. This is the Sorbet Undershadow Primer. I got this from Amazon. It's like $5, but what I like about it is that it goes on like a cream and then kind of dries to a powder finish. So it is a great base for you to put your eyeshadow on. And so one of the things too with eyeshadow, you always want to make sure that it's dry before you put it on so that it doesn't get patchy and stuff. But if it does, you can just kind of go over with a lot of color and buff it out. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started on what the best way to combat oily skin, especially when it is the summertime heat. Oh, sorry. I'm on my live. I'm on my live. Sorry, my son's calling, and he went to the store a while ago, and guess what? Anyway, so he had to figure it out on his own, I guess. Hey, Zunia. Okay, so I went in, and this is some of the things. Let me just go ahead and start with some of the things that will help. Sorry, I'm all over the place, and I know it. It's like there's too many things going on. I almost didn't go live tonight because it feels like it is constantly been one thing after another today. Actually, the last several days. Does anybody else ever have that happen? Because it's been like that. I need to get myself together here. Okay, so let's start with what you need to do for the oily skin. Sorry, somebody's yelling. I don't know if they're yelling for me or not in the house. Guys, it's crazy. Anyway, so let's start yet again. I should probably almost shut this thing off and start over again. That's kind of how I'm feeling right this second. Sometimes there's just never a moment of peace, and whether it's out in the house or in my head. Okay, so what I do at night is when I put on my moisturizer. I don't put it on right before I put on my foundation. I don't do that because sometimes I don't wait and let it absorb long enough, and you really need to let it absorb about 15 or 20 minutes minimum, so that you don't have sticky, tacky skin. These are cream-based foundations, and so you really need to make sure that your moisturizer and a primer, if you're going to use one, their primer is not necessary for this foundation. But if you decide that you want to use it, then you just need to make sure it doesn't have any silicone. So what I do is I moisturize at night, and so the next day, if my skin ever feels oily or anything just from sleeping or whatever, I will usually use these kind of wipes. I really like it. This is witch hazel, and it says for oily, irritated, red, damaged, blemished, or inflamed skin, and this has aloe in it. But I really like this because when I put it on and I get the cloths and I wipe my face doesn't feel dry, like a drying agent's on it, but it just doesn't feel oily, and that's what I love. Now, if you wanted to use a primer of some sort, there's like the e.l.f. Putty Primer, and there's a few other ones that you can use on the market. I'm trying to think. There's 2 or 3, I think. One of them's the Tula that doesn't have silicone in it, because silicone will, if you use it with this, there's some people that can use it and like it okay, but if you use it, it can kind of make it slip around on your face, so it's just not a good idea. And you'll be surprised at how you think you need a primer, but you don't always need one. Sometimes all you can use is a good setting spray, and here is our setting spray that I use to prime with, and so my makeup adheres with this just even better than any primer that I've used. So this is what I use to prime my face with. I have oily skin as well. You can kind of train your skin not to be as oily, and if you do that, then you don't need as many products, because if your skin's oily and then you're constantly putting on this mattifying stuff, sometimes your skin will start to combat it and say, okay, let me do a little bit more oil. You need more oil. But if you will take just minimum measurements as far as when you moisturize, what type of moisturizer that you use, and stuff like that, then your skin won't produce as much oil, and then you kind of just get to where you're not using all those oil combating agents, and it will end up not being as oily. Also, when you age, sometimes it doesn't get as oily, but I can tell that since I don't use all the mattifying stuff. I mean, I was using anything that said the word mattifying in it at one point, and I would feel like it never worked good. But when I stopped using all this anti-oil stuff, I feel like my skin quit being as oily. I mean, it's crazy, I guess, but my body kept thinking, I guess, that I needed to produce more oil. So, okay. What we're going to start with is I'm actually just going to spray this primer. This setting spray, but I'm using it as a primer in my hand. And I'm going to be putting it on my face. We're going to let it dry. And then we'll get started. Okay. It doesn't take long to dry. Sometimes I will spray it onto my perfector sponge and pounce it around. It works just as good too, but sometimes it's just as quick that I just throw it on my hands. I can spray it on my face too, but this thing sometimes comes out like a fire hose, so it's just as easy to spray in my hands. Okay, now that I feel like it's dry, I'm going to go in, I'm going to use my blend brush, and I'm going to use the Vanilla Dust setting powder. The setting powder I'm going to put on before I do anything to kind of just make my face feel like, not that it's just completely powder dry, but I'm just going to go in and really just kind of buff a very, very light layer of a finely milled powder, like a setting powder on, and then I'm going to put my makeup on top of it, and that will also create a layer in between the makeup and my skin, so that it will still set well, but it will help, that powder will help kind of absorb the oil a little bit. So I'm going to go in And I'm just going to, again, lightly dust it all over. Nothing crazy. You don't want too much either. Make sure you get your eyes too. And that they don't feel sticky or tacky. I'm going to feel my face. Feels good. Feels really good. Oh, I go like this. I might be done. Oh my gosh, after today, I might need it. Okay. So now that we're done, what I've done is I've primed it with a setting spray. And then I've also went in and I've put powder on it. Okay. Now we're going to go in, and there's two things. Sometimes I will do my bronzer first, but I think I'm going to do my bronzer last tonight. So we're just going to go in and go ahead and start with our contour. So I'm going to use the color, you know what? Let's use the color Astoria, or actually even Indigo. We're going to use this crazy dark color here. This is the 3D brush. And we're not going to do just heavy coverage because this is kind of how you want to go for summertime. When you're going to be out and about, it's going to be hot and humid. You may have just a little bit of stickiness, mugginess. I know how it is down here in the South. So this will just kind of help with that. Also, it's kind of like any other of your foundations that you wear. Sometimes you just have to powder or blot throughout the day, especially if you're extremely oily. But I have found that sometimes when I do have places that come up, if I'm feeling a little shiny, I can get my hand and really just press it back into my skin and I'm good to go. I just do my T-zone. If I've got a little paper towel or a tissue or something, I can use that, but I can use my hand and it works wonders too. Or the great thing about this foundation is it doesn't necessarily set into your fine lines, but let's just say you had a place that you could tell that it was setting, or maybe you put on too much and you didn't blend it out well or something, and you find later on, you can always go back in and just kind of really just use your finger and touch it if you notice in the mirror and it has just blended right back out. That's the great thing about these creams, is they're so forgiving. Okay. So I have contoured just a little bit. And again, I didn't pinch and I didn't do a fine line. I just kind of gave just a little bit of definition right along my cheekbones, on my forehead. And again, oh my gosh, Amanda, be glad you were late, because straight up the first 2 minutes of this video was a disaster. It was so bad that I think I don't even know if I'm going to save this video. I think I will download it, clip out the first couple minutes. It was like, I don't even know what I was going on in my house. It was a circus. A circus. Story of my life. But that's okay. It is the circus I live in. Okay, so I use the color Indigo. So it's crazy, but it doesn't look that crazy on. Now, I could go in and I could make it really dark and scary. Hey, Liz! I can make it really dark and scary, but if I did that, it would still blend out beautifully. Oh my God, Dunya, no it wasn't. You're being such a good friend. It was terrible. It was terrible. That's okay. I was going to do I'm going to take my smudge brush. I'm going to go in. I almost wasn't going to go live, but I didn't go live last week. And so I'm going to go up under my lip. And so since I didn't go live last week, I was going to do it this week. I thought, I'm doing it. Well, I probably should have listened to my gut instinct and not went live. But I enjoy it. I want to do it. And that's something that's like, even if people don't pop in on the live, and there's never just a whole lot, which is fine. But if people don't pop in on the live, they always go back and watch the videos and then kind of have questions from that too. So Friday night is not a good night for everybody, and I understand that. So anytime someone can go back and watch and has questions or something, even if it's just one person, I've done my job. So I've just done a little contour of the nose. It's crazy scary. Let me get you down just a little bit more. There you go. And then a winner on my lips. I mean, it's not quite Ronald McDonald, but it wants to be. He's thinking about it. Now I'm gonna go back with the same 3D brush, and I'm still using the same colors, wheat and amber. I'm a little more heavier on the amber side than I am the wheat, but I still like to tap into wheat just because I like it. So I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna kind of stipple right along the areas that I don't have my contour on. And like right in the middle of my face, I'm gonna kind of leave blank. I might kind of glance over it, but for the most part, that's where I'm gonna brighten. But for the most part, I'm putting this main shade, which is called a highlight color, all over. That confuses a lot of people when they go to our website and they see the word highlight. They're like, wait a minute, where's the highlight? I don't want a highlighter, I don't want this. But we call our main foundation shades highlights. And then we have contours. Once you get used to the terminology, then you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It really does make sense. But when you're used to calling it one way your whole life, and this makeup is so new to everyone still, even though it's been around for four or 5 years, there's still a lot of people, believe it or not, that hasn't heard about it. And again, yellow based. I know I say that every time, but it is yellow based. But that yellow base will help counteract redness, which is a good thing because a lot of people have redness in their skin. Even if it's not rosacea or anything, sometimes dealing with melasma, rosacea, if it's just your common breakouts and stuff, or just your sunburns or anything, redness seems to be like the #1 color of skin problem. So this yellow base really combats that. Plus, once you blend it out, it goes seamless into your skin. Okay, so now that I've got that over, again, it's a very light layer. When I feel my face, it's still not sticky. I don't use a lot. Even if I dip back and forth, I just barely dip. You don't have to use a whole lot. Now I'm gonna go in. So I have got my main shades on. I've done my, I've done my contour, and now I'm gonna go in with my brightening. So my brightening highlight, or sometimes it's called pop. Sometimes they do a little bit too much terminology for me, but this brightening shade is gonna be Sunlit, and it's very yellow. But if you've got like purpley under eyes and that kind of stuff, it works really well with that. And then also, if you have like a blue under eye, you can go in with the color Mango and do a little color correct in there too. We've got little color correctors built into all these shades for different things. And then they tell us, hey, this is what you need to tell people when they ask for something to go over a port wine stain. I mean, I've seen our makeup cover so good. I've seen it cover tattoos, and I've also seen it like where people have these big bright burgundy, what they call a port wine stain on their forehead, and it's barely noticeable. Like it's covered up so well. It's like, wow. I mean, it's just a true testament to what the makeup can do for you. Okay, and I'm going to go down right in the center of my nose. Okay, it's a little scary. We're going to blend it out though. But look, I see there's more people on here, so I'm going to go over what I did when I first came on after the Circus Act. I first went in and I used these witch hazel wipes because if my face feels oily beforehand, and I'm an oily person, I always moisturize earlier on, either the night before or 30 plus minutes before I'm going to put my makeup on. if I'm feeling oily before I put my makeup on, I will go on with these wipes. I get these at Walgreens, and they're not even in the makeup section. These are in the over there with like the Band-Aids and stuff. But it's good for oily, red, blemished, you know, damaged skin. And I like it because it doesn't dry it out, but I don't feel a bit of oil or anything on it. So I do that. And then I will go in and I will prime with a setting spray. I use this as a primer. There are a few primers that work well with this, but we really need to develop one with Seint. We really do. But like the e.l.f. matte putty is really good to use. I think there's a Tula primer. Some people will just use a moisturizer, like kind of an oil mattifying moisturizer. They may use something like that too. I just use this, the setting spray. And then like tonight, since I want a little extra oil control, I went in with our Vanilla Dust setting powder. It's finely milled. It's magnetic. It's tin that pops right in these magnetic palettes. And I went in and just buffed a very light layer all over my face. And then I went in with my creams on top. That will just help any extra oil that comes through to kind of be absorbed. So this is just for these tips and tricks if you're super oily and you're going to be going out and stuff and you want just a little bit more oil control for that day. I mean, you could do it every day if you wanted to, but sometimes, you know, you're just like, oh, I don't have to worry about my makeup and stuff. Because again, I live in the South, it's humid, and I'm an oily person anyway. So now that I've got all my makeup on, I'm going to go in now with my blush and bronzer, and I'm just going to go in and pretty much stipple all over my face and start blending it out. You don't have to be super precise with it. You just kind of, I mean, you can, sometimes I'll do my lighter colors first, but you don't have to. You can use you can just blend it as you go. You can close your eyes and do it if you wanted to. It's not always super easy to do it in my camera. Sometimes I'll look back and I'll find that I miss spots, but you guys get the gist. This makeup really does give such a pretty glowy complexion too. Oh, thank you. I didn't get to do it last Friday night either. And that's what I almost didn't do it this Friday night. I almost think I shouldn't have, to be honest, because it started off super rocky. That's okay. It's the story of my life. You're right, Zonia. It is called life, and that's exactly what I need to realize. Give myself a little grace here. Amanda, look at these brows. Okay. I can't see really well because my ring light is blinding me. But the color, they seem darker even like a day or two ago. I feel like they've kind of faded a little bit. I'm going to have to be careful when I go to the beach because I will, I got to make sure that I wear sunscreen and a hat most of the time. We stay in the water all the time. But yeah, they have come back really well. Day 21 is going to be the true testament of how they look. And then, I'll go back for my touch-up in mid-July. So I'll be excited to see how that looks. But I do like them because they're a little bit, I feel like they're a little bit, you know, when I first am looking at it, big. But then when I go back and I look, they are really, you know, framing my face. So they're probably exactly what I needed. The lady that did them, she's the professional and knew it. If you're not careful, you can actually blend out the contour too. I want it just to be just noticeable, and you can tell I don't really have cheekbones, but right now you can kind of see that slimming line here, and that's what I'm going for. If you don't have, if you have more of a contoured line, but you just like the look of a contour, you can kind of bring your lines in a little bit more parallel or horizontal, and they will it'll still give you nice bone structure, but it won't give you that big slimming. Some people already have a skinny face and they don't need it. I have a round little chipmunk face. Okay, so this blended out. Sometimes the longer it sits, it oxidizes too, so it'll look even better. But I've always had the different color neck and face. So bronzer has always been my best friend, but There's not many like this bronzer. This is the best bronzer there is. If anybody's tried it, oh, so good. And you can mix it with other colors. Like, this is almost considered my little bronzing section here. This is the two bellows I have. Sometimes I have them side by side, but I've been mixing it with my perfumed illuminator. We have 4 different flavors. Don't taste of them, but they smell so good. And so it's not overpowering. It smells so good on your face too. But I'll use these two together before I've used the Dolce and I've used the Glow Illuminator. But and sometimes, I'll be honest, I've been known just to swirl like a mad woman over all of it. But I usually swirl these two together. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to swirl so my brush just a little bit. And this is just going to give me a sun-kissed look. And then always make sure that you drag it down your neck. Oh my gosh, this place is a circus tonight, I'm telling you. It's been crazy. My household, I feel like it's been crazy for the last 2 days. Something's going on constantly. I don't know if I'm going or coming. Okay. So that's it. Look how easy that is. And I'll tell you too, sometimes when you put on your bronzer and your contour, it already gives you a blush look. You really don't have to do the blush, but we're gonna do the blush because that's fun too. And this is the color blush we're gonna use tonight. Look at that. It's called Dahlia or Dahlia, however you feel like saying it. That's the color we're going to use. So I'm going to go back. This is what I first applied everything with, the 3D brush. And I'm going to just tap. Let me get to where you guys can see it. Look at that. I'm going to tap in it. See, a lot don't come out. Now, it's the pigment, and if I wanted more on there, I could make it. But I'm just going to barely tap right along above where I contoured, right above it. And then if I want to go back in, I can always go back in and add more. Isn't that I mean, you wouldn't think that that bright pink down here is that. I'm going to put it on my lips too. And these little brushes. Tiffany! Your stuff. Listen, there was 2 orders that day that came in that morning. And like 4 hours later, I got notification. This order shipped. And I was like, whoa, they're on the money. They ran into some shipping situations at one point when they had all this bad weather up north. They're located in Utah, and where like their shipping was like a couple weeks behind. So they're game on now. They've not had issues. And I ordered something the other day because I wanted to order something and get it before I went to the beach. And it came in like I ordered it and I got it probably 4 days later, which is awesome. Look how pretty that is. And again, this is the Dahlia. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to, look at that. I'm going to put it on my lip. And it is a bright pink. And again, I'm not usually a pinky kind of girl, but I know it does blend good. And I'm the same way. I was scared of my cousin that sells pharmacy. She can wear every color from a purple to a black and it look good on her. But the pinks, like, I'm just never been a pink fan. But they really are pretty. And the blushes look really good on. I don't care. I mean, every one of these blushes I can wear. Every one of them. And they're such a range. And guess what? There's more on this side too. They look good on all skin tones. It just kind of depends on what you want to wear and what you're looking for. And if it's the summertime, you may want to go a little more peachy, or you may, but you don't have to. Or you can get a little more dramatic and wear some of the red color. It's just, they're all pretty. But even on lips, I've never been one to do really pink. But if you play around with it, it works out. Okay, so I just put that on my lip. And now I'm going to go back, and I kind of outline them, so there's a little bit of the contour going on around it, but I'm fixing to add a little bit more, believe it or not. Because is it really ever enough? So I'm going to go back into that same crazy color indigo, and this is the multitasker brush, and I'm going to go. I really don't need that be that close to you guys, so I'm going to sit back here and use this mirror. I'm going to go right, not even drawing way outside of the line, but drawing right on the line, almost overdrawing to kind of make my lips feel up here a little bit fuller. And so once I have the outline, then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to start kind of blending it in. We'll be going to a beach called Santa Rose? I don't know. It's in between Panama City and Destin, which are two gorgeous turquoise water, white sandy beaches. Oh, so pretty. Okay, and if I wanted a little bit more pink, because I think, well, what happened to my pink? I could always go back in and add some more. Just touch on it and add it right in the middle. But another thing I like to do is layer. So I'm going to go in with this color Petal. And I feel like Petal is such a pretty, it's a gloss. And it's a shine. And some people can wear it on their cheeks and it look really pretty too. But I love to put this on my lips because it changes all my lip colors. And if something's ever too bright, it'll mute it out. But it also gives it a baby bubblegum pink pop. And it's so pretty. So I will put it on my lips all the time, no matter really what color I'm wearing. And I never would have thought that I would have liked it, but I do. So then I kind of just let it all blend together. All works together. And then if I want to add a little bit of gloss, here's my City Lips. I'll pop that on too. And I don't put tons of it. I'll just kind of touch it. Put my lips together. Good to go. So that really is my face except for my illuminator. Which we'll do in a little bit because I'm going to put illuminator on my eyes and I'll use the same one. So let's do a quick eye look. I'm still not putting anything in my brows. I really probably need to fill these in a little bit, but I'm not even going to do anything because I'm just not going to put any makeup in them until I go for my touch-up. It's just going to be what they are. Which, compared to what they were, these are amazing brows that I don't have to wake up and even mess with. Like, it's crazy how much better I feel not having to paint on my brows every day. It's crazy, and it's the little things in life that we probably take advantage of that you don't realize it, but I was that one person too. Okay, so for eyeshadows. Oh, let's go ahead and do the rest of the face for the oily stuff real quick. So now that I've got that all on and I'm good, I'm going to go in with my perfector sponge, even though my face, because I've already took the steps for the oily part of it, and it doesn't feel sticky or tacky. I did not use a lot of product also, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to do quick pounces. This is damp. It's not any moisture that you can feel on it. It's just cool to touch, but it's big and bouncy. You just put it under a lot of water and then you wring it out. So now that I've went through and picked up any excess product, there's two more steps that you're going to do to ensure that you can lock it in place so that it'll stay longer and that it will prevent, I ain't going to say you won't be at all oily or shiny, because sometimes you can't help it. If you sweat, it's going to happen. But this will help your makeup to be more budge proof and stay in place. So I will go in, I'll use a setting spray, You know what? I'm just going to spray it on my face for the fun of it. What you really got to do, though, is commit to this spray. You commit because if you don't, it'll shoot out, like I said, like a fire hose. So you just got to really pump it hard for that mist. Whew. It smells like coconut. But it gets me all over. It's all over my arm, my shirt. Sometimes I spray it on this too. But you got to be careful even spraying on this because you don't want it to be too wet to where it will pull your makeup off. I can always go back and add more blush. Even after I feel like I'm finished, I can go back and do it. That's the great thing about this makeup too. It's so forgiving and you can keep adding. And even you think sometimes you can't take away. It's harder to take away, but you can still mute down or add other colors on top of it. And it's even though you don't have to layer it, you can. And if you do use light layers, it works just as good. So I've just set it with the setting spray. And now I'm going to go in for the final step and I'm going to set it with the powder. Now, if I wasn't super oily, I could go back in with that same powder that I first started with, this vanilla dust, and get that go, especially up under my eyes where I don't want it real heavy. I could do that. But usually, I will take my perfector sponge, even though it's damp, pop it right into my powder, and I will go through and I will hit the areas that I get really shiny and oily, and I will hit those again. I even get it in my neck, girl. Get the neck. Get the neck. Okay. I usually try to get it on my nose too because that's where. And now if I feel my face, it really doesn't feel like I have a thing on. It just, I mean, it doesn't even feel like I have a moisturizer on. Okay. So there we go. Just set the oily. Let's do a quick eye look. Gonna do something just a little, not bold, but you know, for me it is because I don't usually do a whole lot of bold stuff. All right, we're gonna use the color Fin Miha and Glamazing. And I may line my eyes with Junior. Yeah, I really could too. I could fry chicken on my face sometimes because it will be super greasy. But again, my skin is not as oily as it used to be. Since I've started using this makeup, my skin is not as oily. I used to look like an oil field, like a slick oil field. And I was constantly having to go through. I still will blot from time to time, but I just don't have to. I don't mind a little bit of dewiness because that gives you that youthful complexion. But again, you know, we glisten down here in the South because it's so humid. All right, so if we're gonna go in, and I've already put the stuff on my eyes. I used the Sorbet undershadow primer, and then I went back over with the Vanilla Dust setting spray, setting powder. And I'm doing it again just to show you guys, just to make sure that there is nothing gonna be sticky or tacky for the powder that I'm fixing to put on to stick to, because that makes it easier to blend. If you do ever put something on and it just big wide sticks here because you know, put a primer on your eyelid, you can always go back over it with a lighter shade and just blend it out and then kind of reapply as you need to. It will just, you know, take away some of that patchiness. So I'm going to go in with the color Fin. It's kind of a bronzy brown color. I need another mirror. And I'm really going to start in this outer corner. And then I'm going to kind of go back and forth in windshield wiper motions. And the same with the other eye. Sometimes it's hard to get a good eye look because we want to be impatient and not take the time to blend. And I am #1 when it comes to that. I don't always want to wait. I just want to hurry up and just throw it on there a little bit and then go. And then you can tell it. This colors that I'm putting on is going to look pretty on all colors too. I love the ones that make my blue eyes pop. But to be honest, there's so many of them that work for all that I really try to stay with the ones. So this color right here, even though it's a brown bronzy, is really pretty on brown eye colors too. Nothing crazy. Now I'm going to go in with this purpley color. It's like a pink purple fuchsia. It's called Mi'iha. Woo day. And we're going to put this right in the outer corner. And this is really pretty on brown eyes. But I like it when I wear it on my blue eyes too. And I'm really just going to kind of blend it in. This is just going to give it a little bit of a pop of color. I'm not really going to drag that in. And I'm not going to drag it under my eyes, because even though I love this color, if I'm not careful and I put this under my eyes, I can look sick. And I really don't need any more help than what I already have looking sick. So I'm flipping it over. This is the eyeshadow brush again. I'm going to flip it over to this more dense pencil end. And then I'm going to go back in with the color Fan. And I'm just going to drag it under my lower lash. And if you ever get a lot of fallout, tap. Sometimes I forget and I'll get the fallout. You could always do your eye makeup first, but I just don't like doing that. I tend to mess up my eye makeup when I do that. Some people can do it. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to go in with this. This is a one of our illuminators. It's called Glamazing. It's really pretty. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to pop that. Where's my mirror? In the corners. Maybe I can get myself organized. I'm also going to use it on the inner half of my eyelid. This is so pretty, y'all. Now, I'm always really careful about using this because I have mature skin. I'm in my mid-40s. And, which is so weird to say because you don't think about that. Now that I'm here, I don't think it's mature. But when I was in my 20s, I was like, dang, that's old. And now I'm here and I'm like, that's not so old. But mature skin doesn't necessarily have to mean anything with age. It just kind of means the condition of your skin. And sometimes you can be really young and still have mature skin tendencies. So that's really pretty. Now, if I wanted to go in, I could pop it also. Let me show you. Let me show you another trick. This is a brush cleaning towel. So even though I went in and I put this bronzy color, I want to switch over to a lighter color. So this is a brush cleaning towel. I'm going to take it. This is 14 bucks. Pops right in and out of your palette. Most all of our colors are 14 and under. I think the setting powder is 16 and the illuminators, some of them are 16. The perfume is 22. But most everything is so affordable that you can really get a full face of options. Not just a full face of makeup, but a full face with different options for 150 bucks. And I'll be honest, you could go to Walgreens and buy a few things and spend 50 or 60. So it's just nice to be able to have different lip and cheek options and eyeshadows and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to take it on that towel. I'm going to clean my brush off. And then I'm going to go back into this Glamazing. I'm going to tap this off because this is extra. This is a little bit extra. And I'm going to go right up here my brow bone. It gives a nice pretty shimmer. This is This is one of our colors that has a pow factor to it. And it's so pretty. And I just do it right along my eyebrows. And again, I will do it here in the corner of my eyes as well. I usually use my fingers though, because use your fingers, you get more pigment. And then I will go in, and I'm going to use the other end. This is what I used for my blush earlier. I'm going to use this end. Actually, I'm going to use the same end that I did my blush. And I'm just going to kind of touch it, and then I'm just going to sweep it right along the top. Powders typically will sit in my wrinkles if I use a lot. But look at that glow. It's so pretty. And I'm just going to kind of go down my nose, right on the tippy tip of my nose. And then I will usually just kind of do a little bit on my, whoa, on my Cupid's bow. And there we go. It's all about that glow. I am. So that's pretty much it. I can do a little bit of it. You know what? Let me do my eyeliner right quick. I'm going to use the Black Friday eyeliner. I'm going to use this flatter brush. I like the flat line. I wish we had one here that's like these flat liners, but we don't. So I'm going to use this one because I like it. Because I feel like it. Get in the mirror here. So I'm going to go in this Black Friday liner. One of the things, if you've got hooded eyes like me, I feel like the chief complaints is that it will bleed up into your fatty pad or your lid that kind of comes down. Fatty pad, that's a funny funny way of saying it. I got fatty pad. I got multiple fatty pads. But anyway, so a lot of people that use it, if you'll use it sparingly, not a lot, less is more always with this makeup. But if you will use a little bit of it, and then you could even kind of go over it with another eyeshadow, that will help kind of set it if you like the look of it. Because a lot of people love this because it's a great texture and it's really pretty and it goes on easy. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to, I don't always go heavy anyway. And I go right along my lash line. I'm not really a winged person, but if I wanted to, I would just follow right up and just barely draw it out from my lower lash line. I just kind of follow suit, keep following it up a little bit. And once I have this on, I'm going to just barely hit the edge right here. Just enough to bring a little bit of depth. Okay. Now I'm going to take this color that's called Junior Prom. It's kind of a charcoal color. I'm going to take that and just kind of put on top. Oh, I didn't. I didn't wing this one out. Not that it's really considered a big wing, but you know. Now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to kind of touch over it. And this is a little bit softer than a black. It's a pretty gray. And I'll just kind of drag it down from that wing. And that's it, folks. That's it, except for my eyes, my mascara. This is the Thrive. I'm just going to barely put any on after I get it out of my hair. And that's it. If I want to add a little bit more blush, I could, or anything else. If I look and I really, again, I would probably put just a little bit color on my eyebrows right out here if everything was fine. This was, I hadn't had a microbladed and I felt like I needed a little bit extra, I would probably do that. But for my lip, just to be a simple nude lip, I don't feel oily any in the least. So it's just an easy makeup look. I mean, my eyes are a little bit bolder than what I sometimes do, but everything else is kind of neutral, so it all works together. And my lips really neutral too. So anyway, if you guys, thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday night, even though it started as a disaster. That's okay. It's okay. If you guys are interested and you just want to try the makeup, if you're local, give me a call and let's set up a time. You can come by and, cause I mean, I'll have people come by. They just want to try it on and see if they like it or not and then wear it for the day. Do that. Plus all the faces that I can get the makeup on, whether or not you, even if you decide you didn't want it, I get the practice by putting it on your faces. That really helps me as well. So why don't you guys help me out? But, so we can do that. I can come to you, or if you want to have a party, parties is the way to go. You can earn free makeup. And just to be honest, it's so easy because really all you do is invite some of your girlfriends, have a girls' night out, girls' day out. We can do it whenever. And then you get to earn the free makeup. Heather, it is life-changing, isn't it? I think everybody that puts it on, when they put it on, they're really like, wow. And again, when you first put it on for yourself, sometimes you'll be like, well, I like it, but really just playing in it, and that's what it's like every time you put it on. It feels like you're playing makeup. But if you, the more you use it and play with it, the more you like it, the more you enjoy it, the more you figure out how it works best with your skin. Because everybody, just like everything else, everybody's skin is different. Everybody, you know, can apply this way and that way and what works. Some people, I know, that's how I am too. I love it. And like, I feel like, yeah, I do too, Amanda. I mean, that's exactly, like, you two are probably two of my biggest advocates that really love it like I do. I mean, when you love it and you want everybody else to love it like you do, because it does give you, I mean, honestly, it's like, just like a confidence. And you don't think, I know that sometimes probably comes off as, or may seem shallow if you say, well, makeup gives you confidence or gives you whatever. But really, who gives a rip what makes you feel better about yourself or what gives you confidence? If it does, embrace it and go with it. So it doesn't matter if it's a blanket or if it's a, you know, whatever. If it's makeup, embrace it. So I love it because I feel like it's helped me. I feel like it's helped me as a person grow and just honestly appreciate true beauty. You just kind of enhance your beauty. It makes me feel better. I feel like I enhance my beauty. I don't feel like I have to put tons of it on and look like somebody else. You can still see every imperfection that I have. If I wanted to cover it better, I could. But to be honest, just to have that natural finish and look of it is awesome. Yeah, and sometimes I'll use just the bronzer too. Or I will put just a very light wash around and then bronze a little bit and go out the door. Some mascara and lip gloss, and I feel like I've got my face on. I love it. It's the best. It really is the best. But anyway, if you guys are interested, shoot me a message. If you can always do my color match form, or if you've got my text, or just message through my links on here and just say, hey, I want to try it. And I mean, that's what some people do. And I'll say, send me a picture and I'll jot down everything you need. We can make it as easy as you want to. I'll be the one to do all the work. All you have to do is pay for it. I'm just kidding. Kind of. You do have to pay for it. But I give you options that you can do. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me on another Friday night, as usual. I love doing it. Love you guys. You guys are make it fun. Make it fun for me. Good crowd tonight. But I will see you guys later.